pastors, we got a new song. It was always the same music, just different words. I'm going to stay right under the blood, and then things are getting better, things are... But they loved it and we loved it as well. That's the blessing with worship. It's the enjoyment as well as the content. And we think we've got to do something so elaborate and so amazing, and to get each other going, all they said was, things are getting better, things are getting better. God is still on the throne, things are getting better, and it's true. And the one thing me and Mandy used to do when I shared about letting praise out, when King David, well, he wasn't king at the time, but David, when Saul come to get him, his wife said to David, quick, get out the window, my dad's coming to kill you. And she had to open the window and let him out. King David is considered the psalmist of praise and worship. And what she was letting escape was praise and worship. And when it was, I'm not saying things don't get better now, it's worse now than it was in the beginning. But me and Mandy, in the midst of it, used to actually physically open the living room window and stand there and sing, things are getting better, things are getting, God is still on the throne, things are getting better, things are better. Hey? I said, what, we've got one of the neighbours, she's born again now, and the rest are coming. And the devil still has his last fling. But in all things, the reason I'm showing off at the moment in time, because I couldn't do this even a month ago. And for me, each party's progress, and we may not get this scripture, I had to, and I'm even more so now, when it says, go out into all the world, share the good news. To those that believe and are baptized shall be saved. Those that do not believe have already condemned themselves. But these signs and these wonders will follow those that believe in my name. They will cast out demons. They will lay hands on the sick. Get this? And they will recover. Is there instant healings? Yeah. But what we look for every single time is the instant. If it ain't instant, it ain't God. Where is the endurance in instant? You can tell me if you know, there ain't none. I'm the worst person for patience. I want patience and I want it now. And that's my problem. And so much so now, I feel so guilty. No, I don't. I don't feel guilty. I feel wrong in the fact I don't appreciate as much as I should the little things that are happening in my recovery. People, and I've had prayers, and sometimes I felt I may have laid hands too much. And I used to have a full set of hair till everybody started praying for me. But the essence of it is, for me, I believe I will recover. As we lay hands on the sick, they will recover. If we're constantly only relying on an instant, everything's got to be instant, like our coffee in the microwave. Everything's got to be instant. Then we're not going to appreciate the endurance that's going to come out of all that God does for us. So, at this moment in time, same with your job, and you're all persevering. It's like school. Any child says that they love school, check the lion spirit. Because none of us, but we have to endure. And that's where we are now. We have to endure. And so, me in this particular thing, I've got to believe God and endure. And this is one thing I couldn't do. You all saw the film Bruce Almighty, I think. Was it that one, or Heaven? Or at the end of it, him and God are having a dance, and he says, "It's time for the dance." And I know now with me, it's time for the dance. Whatever my physical is saying, I will recover. And that's what we've got to believe in our God. This morning, I want to lead us into that place of recovery. And myself, I condemned myself for so long that it happened in the first place. How on earth could me, a man that teaches and preaches healing, how could this happen to me? The one thing I've learned is how many men and women have got a time for the TV, listening, what they've gone through. And some of them are now with back problems and so, but they're still enduring. And they've endured for years. I'm thinking, Lord, we've got to learn endurance. And if you turn to, I'm only going to say it. I still need us all to look at it. Luke 21:19. So I've memorised it now. And Jesus is talking about our salvation and what we have to do to endure and but as we read it, and we all know that God says, if you endure to the end, once again, it ain't endure 3/4 of the way, or part of the way, or most of the way. It's to the end. They will be saved. And it's hard for all of us, because we do know that in all things we all go through so much. But now we're in a position that we've got, I'm talking Christianity worldwide. We've had this comfort teaching for so long within the church, whether it be prosperity or... It's not saying that it's wrong, and it's not saying that God doesn't want us to prosper. But that becomes a Christian's marker on the basis that if I don't achieve that, I'm not a very good Christian. If I don't get the prosperity that some of these men and women of God are saying we can have, then I'm not a very good Christian. But it ain't achieving these huge epic, it's enduring. I can't praise enough the Christians that have saved my life, not physically, but spiritually. I was a little bit of a rogue when I grew up, and even my own dad, we were going somewhere in the car, and I'd fell asleep in the passengers. He said he wanted to open the door and just boot me out. He'd had enough. But over the years, like we've all got nans that love you. My nan used to pray for me every single day and lift me up before God every single day. And I was probably the worst grandchild she had. I love me nan, and I'd do anything for me nan. And she'd do anything for me. And I loved going around to see me nan. But she knew what I was like. Our dad and mum had no hesitation in telling her. And everybody else just said, you know what he's done this week? The word, before anybody condemns me, the word bastard is in the Bible, so I can tell you this story, alright? Don't stone me, read it for yourself. But this is what a good little boy I was. My mum, best friend, brought up through the end of the war, and they were both what they call clippies, working on the buses as conductoresses. Brought up with each other, you couldn't part. My mum, her name was Nora, and her mate Nina. Couldn't separate them. They grew up together, done everything together for years and years. And then Nina had to leave. She got married and left the area. So my mum and Nina parted company. Didn't see each other. After 20 years, get this, 20 years of being separated from each other, they bumped into each other in Birmingham Rag Market. Do you know the Rag Market? Some of us go back that far. And they were walking towards each other in the Rag Market, and our mum, wow, that's Nina. 20 years. I haven't seen Nina in 20 years. So they went over to each other, and as Nina approached, she said, Nora, Wow, it's been 20 years. Do you remember what a little bastard your Adrian was? In 20 years, the biggest thing that stuck out to her was how I was such a little toe rag. So, I've been there, and I've been a little toe rag, and my God saved me. I won't go into some of the things I did as a big toe rag. That was just my practice days when I was about 4 or 5 years of age. And some of us worldwide, we leave the same kind of mark on people from our past. That's all she can remember after 20 years. What a blessing I was. And we forget we've moved on. We forget that's not me anymore. That was the Adrian. I'll have a chocolate in the corner. That was the Adrian we knew, but not the Adrian of now. But people, to get from A to B, you have to endure. You ain't going to change unless you endure. The main thing I want us to understand this morning, everybody in here will have a past of some description that others remember you for. But now, we're in a position, we've got a future that our past has got nothing to do with. Or shouldn't have anything to do with. To me, allowing this to happen to my body was a failure. And God said, son, just be thankful. You're still alive. You ain't dead. The devil didn't get you. So, like you said, if he can't take your life, he'll take your faith if you let him. Don't let him take your faith, son, because he can't take your life. Endure this to the end. And that's what I'm doing. I'm saying all this because I don't want people to be offended at my future. You will remember how I was, and I used to get so angry at people failing, letting me down, and not the church being what it needed to be. They wasn't. Which nearly killed me. As I say, it ain't going to happen again. But it doesn't mean I'm not going to push as hard as I can to achieve all that God's called me to do. Not you, called me to do. I'm going to finish this race. But I want as many people their own race as I can possibly encourage to do so. The one thing out of this is the same with Laney dying and all this. There is nobody who can say to me, well, you don't know how I feel. It's all right for you. You don't know how I feel. That is such a cop-out. Because, trust me, there can't be something you're going through. I haven't been there and done that. I'm praying this is the last thing that I mean. I'm not saying you have to go through these things, Christ has already been through it. But if you are, don't condemn yourself. It's all right saying we shouldn't, and we should prosper, and we should be blessed, and we should. What about the ones that aren't? How terrible it makes you feel when people say, "Oh yeah, but the Word of God says you've got to be blessed, you've got to be healed, you've got to be." Ooh, but I'm not. So that means I'm a terrible person. No, it doesn't. All we've got to say is, Lord, you knew me before I was even born. And you got everything set out for me beforehand. Even before I took my first breath, you'd already written out my future. So if God knows what's coming, He's already sorted out the way out. Already. He's done it. He's not waiting for it to happen. He's waiting for us to say, Lord, I haven't got a clue what's going on. But you do. Dad, I don't understand why this has hit me. But you do. Dad, I don't know why I'm going through such pain and heartache. But you do. And you've always got my best interest at heart. Even in this, He's got my best interest at heart. He's given me a wife. I've been through this once in my lifetime, and I'm going through it again. He's given me a wife that does understand me. All the time, the men use it, my wife doesn't understand me. Well, this one does. And she knows when to be compassionate and knows when to be strong. And when to say, pack it in, just get on with it. Because I'm the type of person that I am strong. But sometimes I allow a pity party to slip in. You can laugh. A daughter's no better. Our daughter has grown up with me in a short time, with her mum for a long time, and she's no better than her mum. She doesn't have pity parties. And she'll tell me like it is. Why? Because my spirit needs that. Everybody else is different. There's some people that you have to be compassionate, not have a pity party. Don't ever have a pity party. But there's others that just need your arm around them. Me, not every time, but a lot of times, if I go down, I need a kick up the pants rather than a pat on the head. That's me. That's my character. That's the way I've been brought up. But God knows that. And God had already prepared for me. He knew Laney was going to go home early, clock out, get out of it, craft is so-and-so. And it is until death do we part. So with God, until death do we part. I'm saying all this, I'm going to start in a minute. You can tell I'm getting better. This is leading up to, not everybody will come with me. Jesus said to his disciples and those around him, he said, where I go, you can't come. He was going, well, first to hell, but then to heaven where the Father was. So the disciples couldn't go there because he hadn't died yet. He hadn't made a path for them to go where he is going. And he said, where I'm going, you can't come. But in my Father's house, there are many mansions. And there'll come a day, you can come with me to where I'm going. And I'm preparing a place for you so that when you can come where I'm going, there's a place ready waiting for you. But at the moment, you can't come with me. Now, God didn't stop loving us. He loved us more. Because he had to go and die on the cross. And open the way that we could go with him. But at the moment in time, he said, where I'm going, you can't come. There were some that if he took them to the cross at that time, they wouldn't have endured it. They would have given up and lost their salvation. But after a while, even Peter, that said he would never deny Christ, and he did 3 times. So he would have been able to go to the cross at that time. But when his time come, not only did he go to the cross, he said, look, hang me upside down. I am not worthy to die as my Lord died. To crucify him upside down is a longer, more painful death than being hung up that way. That way is horrific and terrible. So Peter endured more at the end than he would have done at the time he said, I'll come with you. I'll die with you before they take you. So what I'm saying is where we're going and where we're moving on now, because God don't stand still. I know there's certain people in the church that I love dearly, been with me, you know, in this sickness. The one thing that I have to do at the moment, I can walk a bit more now, but when I'm out walking on a distance, I have to hold somebody's hand. They don't steady me or hold me. In fact, if they hold me, it's even worse trying to walk. But it's just having the reassurance. We barely touch when I'm walking, holding on to somebody's hand. It's that reassurance. The person next to you. I've never held so many people's hands before. And I can walk on my own and I get around the block. But the anxiety is still there when I'm on my own. When I haven't got somebody next to me, I can do it. And at the end of it, I go, yeah, look at me, I've done it. But all the way round is that anxiousness and thinking, I'll be glad when I get through this. But if somebody's just got their hand in my hand, we can chat on the way round and talk. Same journey, but so much easier. Having the reassurance of somebody next to you. I am going to complete this journey. This church is going to be all that God first called me and my late wife to start. We are finishing the journey that she started. But I started this journey in 1984, and I'm going to finish it. Whoever comes with me or doesn't come with me, but for me, that reassurance of just having somebody next to you, not to walk for me, just that support that's there when you need it. And sometimes, me and Mandy, we walk around and I'll stumble and she quickly tighten her hand. It's all over. We carry on. The baby come home the other day from work and said, because I hadn't been able to get out and about, I'll walk round with you. So the baby walked round with me. The moment you got somebody next to you, not doing it for you, all she did was hold my hand. I did the walking, but you got somebody that loves you, got your best interest at heart, walking at the side of you. That's what we all need. That's what I need for this church to be all that God's called it to be. And for all of us to finish the journey. You just need the person that loves you, got your best interests at heart, standing next to you when you need them and holding your hand. That's what God has showed me in this blessing about it. Satan, it ain't a sickness. I am not sick. I might have had a physical mishap, which we all have in our life, but I ain't sick. But what aids my recovery are the ones standing next to you, that are walking with you and holding your hand. Now, if you turn to, it's here somewhere, get it. That's coming. Mark, chapter 5. We can start at verse 32. And this is where Jesus is walking with all his disciples and I forgot his name now, Jairus, because his daughter had died, and they're all prodding along and going. A woman comes with a issue of blood, and just to touch Jesus' hem of his garment, and in verse 32, and he said, and he looked around to see her who had done this. The woman, fearing and trembling, knowing that what had happened to her, came down before him and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace. Within that hour, she was healed. Not instantly, not right that second. A bit later on, when she went home, the physical was healed. She still had to endure. But this is the point I'm making this morning. While he was still speaking, some came from the ruler of the synagogue house and said, your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further? As soon as he heard, basically, the unbelief and the fear coming from everybody else, he said, do not be afraid, only believe. This is a point of 37. And he said, and permitted no one. He didn't request, if you don't mind staying here. He said, this is how it's going to be. Nobody, but nobody follows me. I don't want any of you with me for the rest of this journey. He permitted no one except Peter, James, and John. You can't go where I'm going. Come a time when you can, when you prove to the Father that you can, when you prove you're willing to be crucified with him, then he knows the place he's going, you can come also. Because you can endure like I endured. But at the moment, Peter, this is the last place you want to go. But now, where I'm going to raise this man's daughter from the dead, man, is this going to take belief? This is going to take super belief and not one answer to doubt. I know I can do it, but it's so nice to have somebody holding your hand when you're going to do this journey, when you're going to stand in faith and when you've got to do these incredible things, and when you've got to do the things that this church is going to have to do. It's easy for me to say, it's not, I can do that. I can do that. But when it's got to be done, and you got those around you that believe in what you're doing, believe against all odds it can be done, and believe that no matter what, I know this can be done. We've seen it so many times. I know it's tough at the moment, and I know you at times you stumble, but I love you so much. I'll hold you. And I'll keep telling you can do this. You can do this. No matter how many times you have to get up, I'll hold your hand. Why? Because I just love you. Jesus, I know the people out there are not very lovable people. But neither was I. But somebody loved me. Because I'm here now. And as tough as it is, and how many times they let me down, and how many times they stabbed me in the back, and how many times there's somebody out there, there's a Peter, James and John out there. The ones that hold my hand. And there's going to be times that I say, Peter, James and John. I don't want anybody else down this one. I'll tell you one. I only want Peter, James and John to help me. In 30 odd years, the amazing things that we've done through this church, I know how they feel when they said all that Jesus did, you couldn't get it into a book. There's so many incredible things I've seen in my lifetime. I couldn't write it all down. One, and only one. When we first went to Romania, we had to borrow vans and Bedford vans off pastors that I knew to take the load. Why? Because we had got no money. We couldn't afford our own. We were still going to do the journey with no money. We got no idea where we were going, what we were going to do. We just borrowed a couple of vans, filled it up with everything Asda and Tesco's would give us, and drove. We hadn't got a clue how to cross borders and each step of the way, God just showed us and did a miracle. And I don't want to keep you too long, but I'm going to. One of the things was we went over after a couple of years of going. Me and Walter had to drive the old-fashioned crash bang wallop buses. I've still got a picture of Walter sitting at one of the seats, half naked, enjoying the sunshine on the journey. But one of the journeys was that taking this bus, he was packed to the gunnels. I mean, it was everything closed, goods. The thing was absolutely chock-a-block. You could see when we filled it that the suspension had dropped and it was just about making it over the tarmac. Well, we was all right with authorities until we got to Austria. We travelled through England and we'd gone through France and Belgium and even Germany. We got to the Austrian borders. They were a bit more strict. More stricter than us lot. And they made us put on the weighing machine. Because what they did was they'd take what the vehicle laden weight capacity was and actually what it was. And you weren't allowed to go into Austria if the laden weight was wrong. So we'd got a few disciples with us, and there was one disciple from up north. He was the most unbelieving believer I'd met for everything he said. Also, he was so negative. A pastor from up north that wanted to come with us. And this is the first hiccup we'd had. Him and Tony White, that was with me at the time, went into took the paperwork into the office. And this pastor come out and said, I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have to turn around and go back. I said, what? Yeah, he's looked at the paperwork and said, we've got to turn round, go back. He was speaking German and I couldn't fully understand what he was saying. But he said something about the laden weight. We're going to have to turn round, so we'll have to go back to England. I said, give us the paperwork. And I did what Jesus did. I said, all of you, stay here. The only one I'm permitting to come in with me is Tony. Tony, come with me. Because Tony was a bit like me. He just believed anything. You tell him he'd do it. I mean, great person to have next to you. And he said, yeah, okay, let's go. We went back in, and I put my paperwork back over. No. It says, problem. Laden weight. Problem. You go home. Go home. Turn round. Go home. Laden weight. And I looked at him and said, I won't go through it too many times. So just listen to the once. I looked at him and I said, we've across England, across France, across Belgium, and through Germany. And we are going to Romania. And my God has not brought me this far for you to turn me round. So, sign the paper, no problem. Laid and wait. No. This went on for about nearly 3/4 of an hour. And every time he said, no, turn around, lay and wait. I said, God has brought me through England and France, Belgium and Germany. He ain't brought me this far for you to turn me round. No, latent problem. The other disciple was Walter. He had to stay there because he was driving the wagon. I said to Walter, the moment we get the okay, get it over the border. Get it through the drive. So Walter was there praying and just wait for the off. Me and Tony were in the office giving this poor bloke heaven. And in the end, he said, one moment, he phoned up the main office. He thought the reason I was struggling was communication. He couldn't speak English. I couldn't speak German. So he was going to send me to the top knob in the top office that could speak English and fully explain laden weight problem. Go home, you Englishman. So he said, park here, go here. Give me a chitty of paper where to go. I said to Walter, quick, get it through and just park it where you can. At least we're over the first hurdle. And Walter did. I went to the main office where this bloke, he spoke beautiful English, better English than I do. And he said, do you understand how I'm saying in English? I said, I can hear you perfect, awesome. I congratulate you on your English. He says, good. He got the logbook out and went, look, laden weight. I said, yeah. Got the chitty. Your weight, problem. Laden weight and your weight, you can't take it in with all that weight. It's against the law. So you've got to turn around and you'll have to go back. I said to your colleague 3/4 of an hour ago, God's brought me through England, He's brought me through France, brought me through Belgium, and all the way through Germany. And we're going to Romania. He ain't brought me this far for you to turn me around. No, you don't. I said, your English is perfect. I fully understand what you're saying. It's you that don't understand. I am not being turned round after God bringing me all this way. We're going to Romania. For now, for another hour. We had this conversation. The poor bloke, in the end, went, because I'd learned how to endure. He didn't know how to endure. I knew what it was to endure. Poor bloke didn't. And he went, give me paper. Give me the papers. Give me the papers. And he signed me papers, shoved them back in my hand and said, have a nice holiday. Go. Please, just go. But then he pointed me to the far window where you had to pay tax on the goods you were taking in. Per weight, you paid the tax per kilogram of the weight. And so he was sending me to this window. And whose head would pop up all of a sudden? They couldn't wait. This pastor, he come, what's going on? Where are they? And I said, we've got through this far. And instead of saying, oh, that's great, we just got one window to go to now. The tax payment. The first words that come out in his mouth was, oh, they want money. We got no money, they want money. That's no good. They're going to turn us around now, we got no money. And I said to Tony, who hadn't been a Christian that long, and he had a background was similar to mine that was, and he was ex-Hell's Angel and you name it. Tony had been there as well and done it. I said, Tony, please take the pastor out and explain to him to keep his negative talk to himself. Tony went, bless him, said, okay, come with me. Dragged him outside. And I went up to the final window and they said, the bloke was saying a tax, laden weight, ticket. I give him the ticket. And the bloke that had just let us through knew what the poor bloke was just about going to go. He was another one that didn't know how to endure. We just started the routine. Now, God's brought me through. And the other one was shouting in German, no, just let him go, let him go. Get him out of there. And the bloke taking the money looked at me and went, it's okay. You can go, you can go. So then we went from there into Austria with that we found out that was the easy problem as we went through this journey. But the point I'm making is not to do it for me, but I so needed Tony White that believed in what I was doing and believing the cause we were going for. Standing next to me, holding my hand. He didn't do it for me. He didn't do any of the talking. He just stood there and spiritually held my hand, saying, you can do it, lad. I'm with you in this. Don't give up. I know they're saying you can't. We can do it, mate. We can. You're right. God ain't brought us this far. Come on. We can do it, mate. At times, I nearly tripped. And I nearly stumbled. Spiritually, you can feel that squeeze. You won't fall, I'll get you. What's going to come to light for me in this church is the Peter, James and Johns that feel they can't do what we need to do, but I'll hold your hand. I believe in you. I believe in what you're doing. I believe in a church of people of one heart, one mind and one spirit. I believe in worship, not just from the team. I believe the worship is a daily thing, and you will have a heart of worshippers that every morning will wake up to enter the presence of God. So that when they come on a Sunday, it's a piece of cake. We're already there, and then we're going to have a church of people that are going to say, just like the worship team, we're already there. We haven't got to enter the presence of God. We're in the presence of God. We've come in church with it. People say it can't happen. Oh yes, it can. And I know where this church is going and what we've got to do. The reason I told you about vehicles was then the one thing that we needed was our own. But we needed a 4x4 for the roads in Romania. We'd borrowed a lot of vans and everything else. And so I said, Lord, we need, and we're going to have to start believing for our own vehicle that belongs to us. That we haven't got to borrow when it's convenient to them. That we can just up and go and do whatever we like, go where we like, in our vehicle. The one thing that I needed was a 4x4 because of the condition of the roads over there. With all the other vehicles, all of a sudden, I said, Lord, I want a new one. I want a new vehicle. I don't want second-hand bought ones, and we need a new vehicle. Suddenly the doors opened for us in a place in Stoke-on-Trent that sold left-hand drive vehicles, which was ideal for us, because as soon as we're out of England, it's all left-hand drive. But because they're left-hand drive, they were half the price of buying it in Britain. In Britain, the Mitsubishi Shogun at the time was £23,000, which 20 odd years ago is a lot of money. It's a lot then. I mean, it's a lot now, so you can imagine what it was like then. And I was saying, Lord, I want a new one. No way we can have one of them on the drip. But in Korea, under license to Korea, they were doing the Mitsubishi Shogun, which they called their Hyundai Caliper. Brand spanking new, 15 kilometres on the clock. The chap said, because I love you, you can have it for 10 grand. £10,000, cash pound note, you can have it for 10 grand. All thrown in, which was like half the price of the same vehicle over there. Thank you, Lord. We've come so far. We're at least over the border. I needed then Pete and St. John. Believe with me for the rest of the way. I'm telling you now, church, in 6 weeks, God had come up with the cash to buy it. 6 weeks. God brought us in 10 grand to go and buy cash. And we did. So, I know what can be done. Now, over the years, I've allowed unbelief to come in and compromise and so forth. And I got to the stage that all the vehicles I needed, I believe for, I got, and even new minibuses and everything. So I know how to believe for it. And now, this time round, because of what happened and the drugs I was taking, which sometimes they said the after effects, you can faint or collapse, so you shouldn't drive. So I said, Lord, I need to stop taking the drugs. I don't care what the hospital says about the heart condition. You need to close the door on this. Now they closed the door. I didn't close the door. They said. So I got off the drugs. And I can't walk. But now, I'm walking again. I got rid of the old car because I couldn't drive it and I had no need to because I couldn't walk anyway. Now, I've improved enough to say, okay, Lord. I'm saying, Lord, I need another vehicle. And so I'm going to start believing now for another vehicle. And I'm telling you what the Holy Spirit, the Peter, James and Johns in here will understand this. The other disciples won't. The Holy Spirit said, but you know how to believe me. I said, yeah, and I'll do it again. For 30 years, I've asked you to get this church to take its responsibility serious for the pastor of this church. And you just started to get him to take finances serious and make sure your wages and everything is all sorted out. And the Holy Spirit, haven't I blessed that? Over and above, Lord. We are now out of debt and things are moving. He says, well, isn't it about time you got them to take their responsibility for vehicles for you? Like they've always promised and never done. But I know how to, Lord. I know you do, son. But how are you helping them? They'll always stay disciples, or I want you to get some Peter, James and Johns, like you. We can do this. And we should do it. It's our responsibility to do it. The others will say, oh, you're only after the money and you just want a car and all that. But then there's Peter, James and Johns in here that say, well, so this church prosperous. Let's do it so that we can have more pastors and more, because if we look after this one, God's going to give us more as we grow. This is the last one. Enjoyed it so far?
Yeah.
Jolly good. Now, in Luke chapter 9, verse 23, it says, if anyone desires to come after me, let him himself take up his cross daily and follow me. For whoever desires to save his life will lose it. Whoever loses his life for me, for my sake, will save it. For what profit is it to a man if he gains the whole world and he himself is destroyed and lost? For whoever is ashamed of me and my words, the Son of Man shall be. Then he the Holy Ghost and angels, and I will tell you the truth. There are some standing here who shall not taste the death, and they will see the kingdom of God. I tell you the truth. There are some here this morning that will not taste physical death, but will physically see and be alive when the Son of God returns. But then, one of the biggest things that could ever happen to Jesus was he was going to be transfigured. The Mount of Transfiguration, they called it, Jesus. So many things were going to change for Jesus from that moment on. Verse 28. And it came to pass, about 8 days after these sayings, that he took who? Peter, James, John, went up onto the mountain with him. The other disciples didn't, and everybody else didn't. He said, this is going to be such an amazing, incredible. You ought to go on and read this, because he says, they met up with Elijah and Moses and talked to them. Physically talked to Elijah and Moses. And the incredible things that happened on the mountain. But who did he take? Peter, James, John. There are so many important things that are going to happen in this church. And we're going to see some incredible things. But some of the things we're going to see, only the Peter, James and John's going to actually physically see the outcome. The rest of the disciples heard what happened on the mountain, heard what it was like to see a completely lifeless body lying there. And just the Master, one touch for her to open her eyes and start praying. Peter, James and John know the incredibility of watching that. And holding Jesus' hand with the other one raising somebody from the dead. The other disciples just heard what it was like. There's some of the things that me and Walter have been through and been on. I could sit here another 2 hours telling you some of the things we've seen and done. The others didn't see. Me and Walter did. Just a quickie. On the way back one journey, we got a Range Rover trailer and we broke down on the Autobahn in Germany on the way back. So we were stuck in the middle of nowhere. Oh man, what are we going to do? Me and Walter climbed over the bank, down the bank, and eventually found a village in Germany where everybody spoke German. And we had no way of communicating. And there's the 4x4. But anyway, cutting a long story very short, we eventually got somebody that spoke English. They put us in touch with a German bloke a couple of kilometres away that had his own garage and showroom. The chap come all the way out from there, met us in the village, climbed up the bank with us, got the Range Rover working, and said, listen, I have a garage just 2 kilometres away. This is how you get there. Now it started, take it to the garage and we'll look at it properly. It was about, they were on it 4 or 5 hours, drained all the fuel system and everything, and got it working. Inside I was thinking, Lord, I hope we got the money to pay for this. And God says, who opened the doors for you to get the car fixed? Well, you. Who's going to pay for it? I said, well, you'll have to go away, you got it. Leave it with me. And when we went in to see the chap, several hours later, with the cost of all this, he said, very expensive. I said, I don't know how expensive. It is expensive. He said, you've just come from Romania. You took all the goods out of the children in Romania. I said, yeah. He said, how much did you charge the children in Romania for all those goods? I said, nothing. We did it for free. He says, so do I. I give you this free. One condition. I'm coming to England. Please, let me get in touch and we'll talk again in England. He never did, but we did give him all the details. Me and Walter see that. We've seen the incredible supply that God can do. Because He's been there when I've nearly stumbled. just to hold my hand when I've needed it. Church, I'm saying to you at this moment in time, where this church is going to go and what we're going to do and what we need, I need the Peter and James and Johns in this church to hold my hand. Not complain about, oh, he's asking us to give again. He's asking us to... Leave that to the other disciples. When that woman came and touched Jesus, the other disciples said, what do you mean? Who's touched you? Everybody's touched you. They're all... That was their answer. And Jesus said, no. Somebody has touched me in faith. This is where I want this church and those that are willing to endure to say, I know all this. And the physical is everybody's pushing in. But like her, we want to touch you in faith. I want Peter, James and John to say, I'm not going to gripe over what the pastor has said or where he's going or where... I want to hold his hand. I want to climb the mountain with him, and I want to talk to... I don't know, hear what it was to talk to Elijah and Moses. I want to sit down and talk to them myself. You can. That's where we're going. And that's what I'm going to be doing. When Jesus took Peter, James and John, it didn't mean he didn't love the other disciples. He just knew who would hold his hand and who wouldn't. Who would complain and who wouldn't. Who would endure and who wouldn't. That's where I'm going, church. And like all things, it's going to be done. And all these things are going to happen. And I'm going to get a new car. I am. But the one thing, every time, you'll have the opportunity to climb the mountain with me. Or you can sit at the bottom. It's entirely up to you. Or you can have the same, wow, you know, God came up with this, God came. I know Scott is going through this with the finance of the church. The things that he's got involved with that has blown him away, thinking, well, look how God sorted that out. Look what God's done here. So instead of knowing what it's like, he's seen it for himself. Why? Because him, like others, are becoming Peter and James and John. And there's others saying, oh. And hearing what it's like. So church, that's where we're going this morning. Good job it wasn't being filmed, because you wouldn't have long on the tape. Yeah.